Friends, Christ is risen. So I'm going to tell you 3 stories. And as I tell you these 3 stories, I want you to just evaluate yourselves and how you respond to them. Okay? The first story, Wes Hegelson tells about somebody famous. He said, I was eating lunch at Wendy's when Bill Murray sat down at my table. He stole a fry, dipped it into the Frosty, and ate it while looking me dead in the eyes. And then he said, nobody's going to believe you, and walked away. There's a miracle story of Vesna Vulovic. Vesna, she was a flight attendant for an airline in 1972, and the story goes that a bomb exploded on the plane, and she fell an altitude of 33,000 feet. She survived, no parachute on her, and she holds the Guinness World Records for surviving the fall. Tamara Baker tells the story that's it's a little too perfect for Easter Sunday. She wrote, when I was around 8, my dog followed my dad to wait for me at the school bus. And while they were waiting there, my dad saw Fluffy get hit by a truck. And so he took him and buried him. We then went out of town for the weekend, but on Sunday evening when we got home, Fluffy was standing on our porch. Dad couldn't believe us. He said, I buried him on Friday. And it turns out they went to the vet, and Fluffy had just been knocked out cold, and he rose from the dead and waited for them at home. I mean, these are all pretty wild stories, right? And you know, in general, to fantastical tales, I think there's 3 ways that we can respond. We can be cynical, we can be skeptical, or we can be curious. A cynic is someone who's either distrustful or dismissive. They assume the worst. They approach the world closed off to new ideas, and they usually do this because they expect disappointment, or they expect for people to be deceitful. The tone of their lives is often bitter or jaded or sarcastic. Y'all remember the movie Forrest Gump? Right? Lieutenant Dan is a cynic. A skeptic is doubtful, but they're open to being convinced. They will withhold their beliefs until there's more evidence. They approach the world as a critical thinker. They will ask tough questions, but they'll listen to the answers. The tone of their lives is often neutral, thoughtful, cautious. Or anybody remember the X-Files? Anybody not know what I'm talking about? Oh, I'm too old. Agent Scully from the X-Files is a skeptic. The curious are open. They're eager to learn. They assume that there is something new or valuable to discover in any encounter. They approach the world asking questions to explore, not to challenge. The tone of their lives is playful and warm and fascinated. Ted Lasso is curious. And here's the thing, every cynic thinks they're a skeptic, and every skeptic thinks that they're just curious, but you can see that there's a difference. So, how did you approach the stories about Bill Murray and the 33,000-foot fall, or the one who rose from the dog who rose from the dead? Are you like the first person? Are you distrustful? like the cynic? Are you doubtful but willing to learn like the skeptic? Or are you open and eager to new information like the curious? See, friends, these responses, they're actually nothing new in our world. And we see all three of these responses in our gospel reading today. The women are curious. They were originally at the tomb to take care of Jesus' body, and they're approached by two men. But there's something special about the men. They're clothed in dazzling white. It's interesting because in the other gospels, these men are called angels. And just a side note, when I talk about angels, in the Bible, the Greek word for angels is angelos. It's angelos. It means messenger. And so we have like 2,000 years of like art and like movies and Touched by an Angel and all that kind of, right? All that kind of stuff. And so, but in the Bible, they're messengers. So these two angels are messengers. They ask the women a question. Why do you look for the living among the dead? And the women, they stay curious. And because they stayed curious, they remembered the words of Jesus. Now the disciples, on the other hand, responded cynically. The women's words seemed to them an idle tale, and the disciples did not believe them. You know, today in broader culture, men have a tendency to not believe women. And it's to our own detriment as men. See, the disciples, they stay in Good Friday when if they just would have listened, they would have come to the new day of Easter. It's Peter who's a skeptic. He's part of the ones who thought that the woman may be telling an idle tale, but he had enough sense to listen to the women's answer, and so he ran off to see for himself. And the ones who didn't go, they're probably the ones who were the cynics, because dead people don't rise from the grave. There's no need to go and look. It just doesn't happen. There's something interesting along with the angels part in this story as well. So the women see two angels, and the angels give them a message. And then in the Greek, the women take the message to the disciples. They angelion the events to the others. The women become angels themselves. They hear the message from the angels, and then they become angels to the rest of the disciples. See, the story of Jesus' resurrection, friends, is nothing but good news. And Jesus rising from the dead is a story that is absolutely difficult to believe. No one has ever died, heart stopped, brain function ceased, been dead and cold in the tomb, and come back out after 3 days. And yet, if that story is true, if Jesus has been raised, then the world is now a different place than before it happened. Because with Jesus' resurrection, it means that there's life after death. The ancient prophecies from Isaiah are coming true. God has begun to create right now a new heaven and a new earth, and so we can all be glad and rejoice at the work that God has begun on the first Easter Sunday. Christ is risen. Do you believe it? Christ is risen. Look for life in the dead places of the world. You can respond to this news of Jesus as a cynic and be closed off to God's work in the world. You can respond as a skeptic, questioning and looking for more proof. But how long until you believe? Or you can be curious and be open to what God is doing and enjoy the wonder of new life. Christ is risen.
Christ is risen indeed.
Therefore, be open to new life, especially in places that you thought were dead. Be changed in your way of viewing the world and seekers of resurrection everywhere. Because life is what God is up to in this world. Amen.